Nero, the fifth emperor of Rome, is often remembered for his excesses, cruelty, and the scandals that rocked the empire during his reign. His story is one filled with power, betrayal, and unthinkable actions that blurred the lines between family loyalty, ambition, and moral decay. Nero's personal life, particularly his controversial relationship with his mother Agrippina, his tumultuous marriage to Poppaea Sabina, and his overall disregard for Roman norms and values, made him one of the most despised and scandalous figures in Roman history. But what drove Nero to commit such heinous acts, and how did his personal life reflect the moral decay of an empire at the height of its power? Born in 37 AD, Nero Claudius Caesar Augustus Germanicus was the son of Agrippina the Younger, the granddaughter of Emperor Augustus, and Gnaeus Domitius Ahenobarbus, a man known for his cruelty. From an early age, Nero was surrounded by politics, violence, and betrayal. His mother, Agrippina, was determined to ensure that her son would rise to power. In her quest to make Nero emperor, she manipulated the political landscape of Rome, even going so far as to orchestrate the murder of her husband, Emperor Claudius, in 54 AD, a crime that allowed Nero to take the throne. At just 16 years old, Nero became the emperor of Rome, with his mother acting as his regent and guide. However, as Nero's power grew, so did his desire for independence. The relationship between Nero and his mother, once close, became increasingly strained. Agrippina, who had placed her son on the throne, began to lose her grip on his rule. Nero began to seek his own path and grow resentful of her constant influence over him. At the same time, he began to surround himself with advisors who encouraged his more hedonistic tendencies, fueling his desire for a life of indulgence and cruelty. The tension between mother and son reached its breaking point, and Nero ultimately ordered the murder of Agrippina in 59 AD, a move that shocked Rome and marked the beginning of Nero's descent into tyranny. The details of Agrippina's death are as chilling as they are controversial. Nero's initial plan to kill her involved a collapsing boat that was designed to drown her. But when she survived, Nero ordered her to be murdered by soldiers. It is said that Agrippina, even as she lay dying, asked her son, "Smite my womb, Nero," a final cry of defiance and sorrow at the hands of the very son she had raised to power. The murder of Agrippina marked a turning point in Nero's reign, and from this point onward, he was increasingly seen as a ruler who would stop at nothing to achieve his desires. But Nero's relationships didn't stop with his mother. His personal life became a series of scandals and betrayals that cemented his reputation as one of the most immoral and depraved rulers in Roman history. His second wife, Poppaea Sabina, would become one of the most influential figures in Nero's life. But their relationship was far from conventional. Nero married Poppaea in 62 AD, after divorcing his first wife, Octavia, the daughter of Emperor Claudius. Poppaea, who was known for her beauty and ambition, quickly became one of Nero's most trusted advisors. However, their relationship was marked by cruelty and abuse. The most notorious act in their relationship came when Nero kicked Poppaea to death during a violent argument in 65 AD, while she was pregnant with their child. The details of her death are harrowing. Poppaea, already in a fragile state, was reportedly struck by Nero in a fit of rage, causing her to miscarry and ultimately die from the injuries. To the public, this was a brutal act of violence that only added to the growing scandal surrounding Nero's private life. Despite her death, Nero continued his extravagant lifestyle, reportedly turning his attention to other women and indulging in his passions, with little regard for the suffering he caused. Nero's private life, though filled with scandal and violence, was only part of his larger reign as emperor. His policies and actions during his time in power reflected his complete disregard for Roman traditions and the well-being of his people. He famously fiddled while Rome burned during the Great Fire of 64 AD, an event that would forever tarnish his legacy. The fire, which consumed much of the city, was blamed on Nero, who was said to have played music in the palace while the flames raged through the city. To deflect blame, Nero scapegoated the Christians, blaming them for the fire and subjecting them to horrific persecution. Despite his infamous actions, Nero remained a popular figure with certain factions of the population. His reign was marked by luxurious building projects, including the construction of his lavish palace, the Domus Aurea, which symbolized his wealth and excess. But behind the opulence, Nero's reign was filled with political instability, frequent purges, and widespread fear among the Roman elite. His willingness to murder family members, friends, and advisors to maintain his grip on power made him one of the most paranoid and ruthless emperors in Roman history. Nero's rule finally came to an end in 68 AD, when a series of military revolts forced him into exile. With no support left, he committed suicide in the gardens of his palace, leaving behind a legacy of destruction and scandal. In the years following his death, Nero's name was condemned by the Senate, and efforts were made to erase him from the official records of Rome. However, the stories of his cruelty, his shocking relationships, and his moral corruption lived on, securing his place as one of the most infamous figures in Roman history. Nero's reign serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of absolute power and the moral decay that can come with unchecked ambition. His controversial relationships, particularly with his mother and wife, Poppaea, were not just personal scandals. They were a reflection of a broader societal breakdown, where the line between family loyalty, political ambition, and moral decay became increasingly blurred. Nero's story is one of excess, betrayal, and violence, a legacy that continues to haunt the annals of history.